just slow it down a little bit. I slowed it down just slightly. Can you tell? Just a little bit. Okay, so now more water. Gonna add more water to the rim. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom. Take those fingers right here. So it's really like these two. It could be these two here, and two here. It could be those two, or it could be three. Okay? Whatever you feel more comfortable with. So I think I'm doing two. I'm doing 3 on the inside and 2 on the outside, but whatever works. So I'm going to squeeze, and my elbows are lodged, and I am looking directly down at my pot, and I'm just coming up very gently and slowly. And my pot that I'm focusing on so far is coming straight up. You can there are all kinds of variations, guys. Most of the time, if you want a pot that comes out and in and things like that, that is for later. I can show you how to do that later. Let's not focus on this funky doodle pot right now. Let's just focus on pulling. Pulling only. So I get more water. And, oh, I forgot to clean my rim. Clean my rim first. Okay. Get more water. And I do the same thing again. There's a lot of pulling that still can be done. Okay. Because this pot is pretty thick. I mean, it might be like 8 inches tall when I'm finished. So I'm pulling, pulling, pulling. And if you really want it to go straight up and down, you want to make sure that you are putting more pressure from the outside. You're putting more pressure here, this way, than this way. If you're pulling harder this way, it's obviously going to open more. Okay. There we go. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's still kind of thick, so I don't want to be finished yet. That's too thick. So I'm going to go all the way down at the bottom, and I'm pushing in right here. I'm pulling all this clay from the bottom up. There's quite a bit down there. So I'm going to just pull it all the way up. Slow my wheel down a little bit more. Okay, why am I slowing my wheel down? Because gravity, think of kids on a merry-go-round. When the merry-go-round goes fast, kids fly off, right? So when your walls start to come up, gravity is going to make them come outward. So if you are going really, really, really fast while you're pulling your walls and they get really thin, they're going to fall outward and your pot will be ruined. So that's why we slow down. Okay, so I am really close. I'm going to keep my wheel at this speed. It's kind of slow. I'm really close at being finished, but I'm going to go another pull because I want my walls to be really thin. The pots just look so much better when they're very, very thin. And they dry quicker, and you don't have to wait as long to get them into the bisque fire because they are bone dry quicker when they're a little bit thinner. Okay, so that, it's pretty, it's pretty centered. See how, it's very centered actually. And it looks really nice. And what I can do is just clean that rim off. Okay, I have my wooden rib. It's important to have this wooden rib right now. I also have my rubber rib, which is really good because what I can do is use that to just clean up the outside if I wanted to clean up the outside of my pot just a little bit. I can also use it if I wanted, let's say I wanted my rim to kind of come out. I could use it that way to press inward, and then I can take my finger and press outward like this and kind of change the lip of my pot just a little bit. Do you see how that, so it kind of comes up and then outward like this? Or if I don't like that, if I create that and I say, oh, I don't like that, I can take it and push it back in. This is called choking. You can choke it and you can make it smaller and smaller and smaller. That's how some ceramic artists make theirs big like this and then come inward like that, you know? Yeah. But anyway. We can do things like that later. But let's just make a simple, very, very simple pot, okay, for this one. So I'll just use this rubber rib to clean off the outside. Make it nice and beautiful. And I want to get all that water out of the middle with my sponge. So squeeze your sponge out and just clean it out. Get all the water out. I want my rim to look nice and beautiful. We have these chamois that are cut up. So they're perfect, you guys, perfect. You just dip it in water and then you can use that to clean up your rim. Makes your rim nice and beautiful. Okay, you can even use it. I use it for the outside sometimes to clean up the outside a little bit. The next step before I take it off, just keep the wheel going just like it is. Next step is to take your wooden rib and you've got quite a bit of clay down here, really. So what you want to do is cut into the bottom. So I come straight in like this, like that, and I'm going to cut into the bottom. And I'm just going to get some of that clay off out of there, okay? I'm going to end up trimming that anyway, so I might as well just clean that up. Then I can use this part of the rib sometimes it comes up and it bunches up right there, so I can just use this part of the rib to kind of clean that up a little bit. Okay, and then sponge it and clean it. Or here's my little chamois again. I can definitely do this. Go all the way up and clean that, make it look nice and smooth. And then I can do this, clean it like that. I could even, if I wanted to, before I'm finished, maybe I want a cool little rim right here because I'm gonna do a different color glaze. I could just hold it like this. Just make sure your arm is stable. Make a little line right there. That way I could do a different color. You could do all kinds of textural ideas, but that can come later. I wouldn't worry about that. But that looks pretty good. Okay, so what you would do next here at this point, you would turn your wheel off. If I were you, I've had some students accidentally throw this off because they accidentally, when they were trying to take this off, they accidentally hit their gas pedal and it started to go and their whole pot got destroyed. It went flying off. So if I were you, I would take and just turn your wheel off right now. Just turn it off. That way that won't happen. And then you're going to carefully pop it off of your bat off here. And then you're just gonna take this and you're gonna place it on your shelf, not covered, if you're gonna come back tomorrow. If you're gonna be in class tomorrow, put it on your shelf, no cover at all. And by then it will be perfect for trimming, okay? I have a couple trimming videos on my YouTube channel that I can refer you to if you need some trimming videos, but I could make another one too. I always make new ones every year just to freshen it up. But this would be perfect by tomorrow if you leave it out. Now, if this is a Friday and you're not going to be back for a couple days, you will have to cover it a little bit, and then the drying is trickier if it's a couple days, but you will have to cover it because you definitely don't want it to dry too fast. But your teacher, Mrs. Speed, or we can help you decide on how much of a cover you need. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed learning how to center and make a pot on a wheel. Practice, practice, practice. That's all it is. It's kind of like riding a bike. It's like snowboarding. It's like, shooting a basket. It's like throwing a football. All of those skills take a little bit of technique. And so if you can practice some of these techniques and just fine tune them to fit you, and you will do okay. Some students throw a little bit differently, but at least they learn the basics for me, and then you can tweak it as you go, because some of the techniques work for students and some students decide that something else works better for them. There's all kinds of different ways to throw, but it's just practice, okay? And slow movement, and you will be just fine. So watch those students that really do a good job at throwing and see what they're doing. That might be helpful too. So I hope you enjoyed it, and good luck with your throwing skills.